Hello, hello. Welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. Welcome. I am so glad you are here. It is spring break week at my house, which means all things are slightly more chaotic. So the boys are home. I said to them, they're doing a little screen time. I said, please be quiet. And my youngest said, absolutely. And the big one said, I'll try. So there you have it. And when the kids are home, Weston is always more in a tizzy because he's a herding dog. And so, like, he wants to be where the people are. He wants to be where all the people are. And so when we're in different places, it's very hard for him. It's very hard. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Pre-apology for any upcoming chaos. Hopefully there won't be much. Usually there's not. But now that I've said that, there probably will be. I'm so glad you're here. I would love it if you would subscribe and like this video, share it. We're going to do all that businessy stuff right up front here. I'm so well prepared. That's what I'm going to wear. It's behind me. Oh my goodness. All right. What am I going to wear today? I am so thrilled that my Simone shawl is out in the world. You guys, I love this so much. I've been asked many times to make an asymmetrical shawl, and I think the biggest reason that people want me to make an asymmetrical shawl is because they know that I'll show you how to wear it. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you one of the ways to wear your Simone shawl. The easiest way to wear an asymmetrical shawl is with a tool, with a yarn cuff, a shawl cuff. This is new to me. I'm very excited. And it is from, let me just tell you, while we're here, I'll put all the information in the show notes under the small businesses. Cobb's Crook Stitches, made in Maine. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, so this is the top edge is the straight edge and the bottom edge is the slanted edge. You can go either direction, I feel like, whatever fits your fancy. So this time I'm going to put, did I say that backwards? I did say that backwards. This is the straight edge. This is the slanted edge. I'm going to put the straight edge kind of up at my shoulder. Oh my gosh, you guys. The straight edge is going to be at my neck. I'm going to put the long end up over my shoulder. I'm going to carefully wrap it around so that it's, as flat as possible so we're not getting too bulky. We are getting a springy-ish spring day here. What do I want to do? Over, under, over. I think I'm going to put the long one over and make sure it's laying nice and flat. And then, excuse me, I'm going to take my shawl cuff, and this one has this little clip right here. So I'm going to undo the little clip, and then I'm just going to wrap around the part where the shawl overlaps. This is going to be so graceful, I'm sure. And then I got to blindly find my clippy-do, open up my clip, slide the shawl cuff back around the ring so that it's all in one place, and then just make adjustments. And I'm going to leave this out so that it's like a little bow over my shoulder. I want to flatten it a little bit. There. So then I'm going to keep the cuff kind of up on my shoulder so that I've got like almost a bow. And there you go. I like it. We're a little warmer today, so I'm going to wear it a little bit away from my neck so that I don't get overheated. And then I'm going to twist my shawl cuff so that that pretty silver ring shows. You could also flip it around, and then it's just the black leather, which would be really pretty too. So 2 ways to wear your shawl cuff. Lots of ways to wear your shawl. I'll put the introduction video down in the show notes below so that you can go check that out. I didn't even count how many ways I had to wear it, but there were quite a few. I was quite pleased with the wide variety of ways I figured out to wear it. So, not to pat myself on the back, but I was honestly a little concerned too that like asymmetrical shawl, what do you do with all that? And I found lots of great ways to wear it, which I do. I wear my makes almost every day, and so I want it to have lots of ways to wear so that I can get good use out of it. So there you go. Links to the Simone shawl will also be in the show notes below, as well as links to Blue Sky Fibers. I won't get into it too much, but this is Blue Sky Fiber yarn. They have 50-gram skeins. So I got several of the gray that I used. Oh gosh, I wish I remember what the colors were. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take a guess. Harbor Gray. The blue was something about spring ice, maybe? Spring melt? Spring... I feel like it was something about ice melting because I thought, oh, well, that's perfect for spring. Because that's what you do. You pick your colors based on their names. This is Golden Meadow, I believe. And this is Lilac Bloom, I think. Real confident there. Love these colors. If you want to make it in the exact same colors I did, I will link to Blue Sky Fibers. This is their Wool Stock Light. I love it. You can hear me talk more about it in the introduction video. I won't go into it too much, but the thing I also loved about this shawl is when I got it done, you could use a full skein and then mini skeins. What? So now I'm like, do I need to buy more mini skeins? Probably not. Do I have time to make another one? Probably not. Do I want to do it anyways? Yes. Yes, I do. So there you go. That's what I'm wearing, the Simone shawl. I think I shared all the information about that. Speaking of too many projects, what's bringing me joy? You guys, what would that have been? Last November? Oh, that makes me feel real bad now. Whenever I published my Nolan cowl, which I'll put a picture up here, a local artist, you've heard me talk about them, Rin from Cheeky Ceramics, reached out to me and she said, sorry, pronouns, they said, do you ever like make and sell your finished like projects? And I was like, no. But I thought about it a little bit and I thought, I don't, here's the thing. I tried selling finished items. That's where I started, and it turns out I'm real bad at it. I hate picking prices. The only thing I loved about it was doing in-person markets because I'm a people person, and I loved talking to people. And so when she reached out, I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. When they reached out, I was honestly really dreading it. But then I thought about it and I thought, what if instead of like exchanging money, what if we exchanged goods? So that's what we are doing. I found, and actually it's worked out really well. I asked them what colors they were thinking. They gave me some suggestions. I pulled out some yarn from my stash that I got in a mystery bag, like a mystery. It was a mystery what I was getting. And it wasn't it's gorgeous yarn, but it wasn't my thing. And so I said to them, what do you think about this? And they were like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I mean, how perfect is that? I get to use up some yarn that I would not have wanted in a project for myself. They get something that they really want. And then let me tell you what Rin is doing for me. So Rin is my local ceramicist. They make the most gorgeous mugs, and you've seen a lot of them on here. Um, but one of the amazing things that they do is they make portrait mugs of people's pets. And so, you know Weston, but before Weston, we had two dogs, Duncan and Cooper, and they, I'm not going to tell you the story about the dogs. We would be here for hours. Um, they were my babies. They were pre-kids. We loved them very much. We got them separately, like 4 years apart, but they ended up being almost exactly the same age. And then they ended up passing within a month of each other. Um, so Rin is going to make me a portrait mug with Duncan on one side and Cooper on the other side. And I'm so excited about that. So, as you can tell by me saying, excuse me, that I published the Nolan cowl in November, this has been lingering. I started it immediately, and I had made 3 Nolan cowls for myself. Yes, 3 Nolan cowls for myself, and honestly, I dreaded making another one. So I put it off. We were both busy with the holiday season. Rin was fine with it. But you guys, I got going on it this weekend, and I knocked it out. I mean, not completely, but I got most of it done. I finished the rest of it, like the rest of the panels yesterday. They are upstairs drying right now from the blocking. And once they're done, I'm going to seam it and do the edging, and it's going to be done. And it feels really good to have, A, used up that yarn that I wasn't going to use for a project for myself, and B, just gotten something out of my whip pile. If you're like, yes, I would love to get things out of my whip pile too. Whip wrap up will come back in June. But no, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to talk about that in announcements. You guys. Oh, what was bringing me joy? I was like, I don't even know where I am. Finishing up a project. That's what's bringing me joy. Long story long. Small businesses. I told you about my shawl cuff by Cobb's Crook Stitches. I just pulled out an oldie but a goodie mug. I got this. Actually, I think this was gifted to me by someone who loves me. I don't even remember if it was my parents or if it was Brian. And the mug is signed. I've told you this before because I've had this mug out before. I don't know who it's by because I didn't purchase it. I can't go back and look at my purchase history, which is often what I do to find the names of makers. But it's a handmade mug with that cute little stamp of the dogs, and it's on both sides, which I love. And so what I did was I did a Google image search. And I don't know if I found the same ceramicist or if this is somebody different, but this was, I figured out when I Google searched the first time that this was like a stamp or not a sticker. I don't know. I'm not a ceramicist, so I don't know the terms, but this was like something you could purchase and then put on your mugs. And so I don't know if it's the same person or if it's just somebody else who purchased the same little thingy do. But there's a link to it. I don't even know how much longer I'm going to be able to find that, because that was like when I looked the last time I shared this mug, there were like 4 or 5 people who had used that. This was the only person I could find. However, my friends, I tried to search Etsy first and I put in like handmade dog mug. Let me tell you, there are some people making some incredibly intricate dog mugs. Some of them are wildly expensive, not because they don't deserve it, but because I would be terrified to have a $116 mug. I would break it and I would cry. But if that's in your budget, let me tell you, there are some custom, like 3D dog mugs that you can have made for you with your dog face on it. It's incredible. Earrings are from Anne's Style Store These are just like everything I think of when I think of spring. They are pressed flowers inside a little frame. There we go. Now you're staying still. They don't match my shawl, but I thought they like kind of coordinated. They're not exactly the same colors, but they were fun and springy, just like my shawl. So I decided to wear them today. My friends, I need you to be a little proud of me. So I was on the uh, the Instagrams, I think is where I saw this, and a yarn dyer was like, mystery packs available, super inexpensive. And I went and I looked and I almost put it in my cart and I didn't. I didn't. Aren't you proud of me? Didn't I just say that I was making the cowl for Rin out of a mystery package that I did not care for the colors? And then what did I do? But almost turn around and purchase another mystery pack that I wouldn't have been able to tell what the colors were. So I'm real proud of myself that I did not purchase that mystery pack. And I hope you're proud of me too. Now, what I do want to do though is I'm going to insert a little video in a minute of me unboxing some yarn from Sweet Pea and Sparrow. Now, you know that, I guess if you've been watching, you know that I've made some things out of their yarn, but that this was a collaboration for a new line of yarns that she was doing, and it wasn't available yet. Well, now it's available. So I'm so excited. I'm going to share my unboxing, and then I'm going to share a link, and you can go order what I got or some of the other amazing, gorgeous colors. Highly recommend this yarn. Love it bunches. So here's the unboxing. Okay, let's unbag these together. First, I want to say that Meredith of Sweet Pea and Sparrow is just a very lovely and kind person. She set up, as I mentioned before, a little chat group for us all to talk about what we're going to make and show us all the colors. And it's just been such a fun group. And she was such a kind and fun person to work with. So hopefully I'll get to work with her more in the future. Let's see what I got. I'm going to take them out so you can see better. I bought stuff for 2 projects. I am going to remake some patterns with these because I already had, it's so full. I already had yarn for designs I was making. So I thought, what a great opportunity to remake some of my past designs in new colorways and show off her beautiful yarn. So the first thing I got all worsted weight yarn. This is the first colorway that I got, and it's just so pretty. Look at all those beautiful colors in there. So this one is called Wish Flower. It is a superwash merino in worsted. It's 4-ply, and it is 218 yards per 100 grams. And I am going to be remaking my Senta scarf that I made for Knit Crate that I've now gained rights back to since they dissolved. I'm going to remake 2 samples. It's a very, I'll put a picture up, but it's like a leafy, viney, springy pattern. I'm going to remake it in this, and then I have some Malabrigo yarn in Ivy that I'm going to make it in as well. And I think they're just going to coordinate so well. And this is it's just going to be gorgeous. I'll keep you in the loop with when I get that done. But that's coming up soon because I have it on my calendar when I'm going to re-release that. Don't fall. Nope, it's going to fall. There we go. And then I got 3 more skeins in 2 colors to remake something else. Sorry, I know that's noisy. Okay, so the first color I picked out was this guy. And it is just such a gorgeous neutral, that gray in there and like the kind of taupey brown. And then there are like some specks of like an orangey, goldeny goodness. And this one is called Storm Warning. I love this. Same specs as the last one, superwash merino, 4-ply, 218 yards per 100 grams. So I picked this one first, and then I decided what I was, first of all, I had the hardest time choosing what I was going to make, because I was like, I could do this, and I could do that, and I could do this, and I could do that. And I was like, no, you can't do all of them. So what I decided finally to do was I chose this one, and then I paired it with this guy, which is just a really gorgeous, cool, gray, greeny. It's just so pretty. And it's like a semi-solid or a tonal, so it's not, all one color, which is gorgeous. And this is called Idlewood. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together, and I'm going to make a new Marin shawl. I already have my Marin shawl made out of a gorgeous Malabrigo combination, but I thought this would complement it well. This will be more of a neutrally version than my more bold version that I already have. So these two will be the body of it, and this one will be the border. That's what it's called. Thanks for unboxing with me. So there you go. That was, obviously I'm wearing something totally different. An unboxing at an earlier time. I wanted to record the unboxing, but knew I didn't want to share it until you could get the yarn. So there we go. Yay. Let's talk announcements really quick. The spring shawl along is coming up April 1st. I'm so excited for it. This is one of my favorite events. You might have noticed I love a good shawl. And so here's the deal. The Simone shawl, brand new. You can stitch it up real quick. It's almost like a shawlette. It's not crazy in size. So that would be a quick thing to stitch up. I will be releasing next week my Flossie shawl, which is a bigger shawl, but absolutely gorgeous, that I know some of you have been waiting for. Once I have the whole story, I'll link the introduction video. I don't know what I'm saying. Probably won't, if I'm being real honest, I probably won't come back and link it here because I probably won't remember. But you'll be able to check out the whole story there. And then the shawl along is just like, let's make some shawls. So everyone is welcome. You can knit, you can crochet, you can weave, you can, I don't know how else you might make a shawl, but you can do that. We're happy to have you. I'm going to do it all three places again. I'm going to do a Discord chat. My Discord server's already started. We'll split off with a Discord chat from that. We'll do an Instagram chat, and we'll do my Facebook make-along group. I'll link to all of those below. As I said, everybody's welcome. You can make whatever you want. There will be prizes. I'm hoping to have a shawl cuff and some yarn and maybe a set of stitch markers. I have not completed that yet. I'm going to do that today, though. I'm going to reach out today to the people and ask for prizes. And I should go through my stuff because I love buying gifts. I don't know if you know that about me. And whenever I see something that I think would be fun for a giveaway, I just snatch it up. Oh, which reminds me, I got the most fun, springy looking tote bag, and I thought that would be perfect for the spring shawl along. So I'm definitely giving that away. It's really pretty. It's got lots of fun spring flowers on it. And it would be perfect to carry a big project around, or take to the beach this summer, or to the library, carry your library books and your project and whatnot in. So there you go. And then you can work on anything. Whips are welcome, but to be entered in the prizes, you need to work on one of my patterns. I do have a knitting, I was gonna say shawl pattern. So if you're a knitter and you're like, I want to enter, but I don't crochet, there's that option. And we'll just work through the whole month of April. I have my Cordelia shawl that I started last spring shawl along that I'm like this far on. And I hope to get it done because it's going to be gorgeous. I'm making it all out of Malabrigo this time. And I'm excited. Perfect for spring. Second announcement, local yarn shop day. I would love to have my free pattern available at your local yarn shop on local yarn shop day. So if you have a local yarn shop that you frequent and love and would love to see my pattern for free on local yarn shop day at that shop, drop a name below. Maybe tell me where you're at least, or where they're at, so that I can make sure I find the right one. And I'd love to make that available for local yarn shop day. It's going to be so much fun. My testers are just finishing up with their Harper scarf is what it is, and they're turning out beautifully, and I can't wait to share this pattern with you and support local yarn shops. That's my announcements. So let's move on to questions. I would love to answer your question. If you have a question for me to answer, there's a link in the show notes below. You simply click that, it takes you to a Google form. It's all anonymous. Ask your questions. I'd love to answer them. Yeah. Question number 1. What do you mean by lot, and how do I find what lot my yarn is? Okay, so I think this comes from last week. Last week we talked about hand-dyed yarn and alternating skeins, but I also talked about a time when I made a knit top and I bought commercial yarn for it, and I had some in my stash, but then I didn't have quite enough, so I went and repurchased, and you could see the line excuse me, in the top from where I changed from the yarn I had bought altogether to the new yarn I had bought, and I mentioned dye lots. So what is a dye lot? A dye lot is simply a group of yarn that has been dyed together. When we're talking hand-dyed yarn, we're talking small dye lots. When we're talking commercially dyed yarn, we're talking huge amounts of yarn all dyed at the same time. So most hand dyers that I have come across do not give dye lots. They will often ship their yarn in bags of like 5 skeins of yarn, and those groups of yarn are the groups that have been dyed together. So the way that my local yarn shop does this, and this is not how every local yarn shop works, but the way that my local yarn shop does this is Sarah only puts out the bags of yarn together. So in theory, what is on her shelves should be all from the same dye lot. So, but as we talked last time, hand-dyed yarn, because it's done by people and not machines, is not as consistent just by nature of it being human-made. You can go back to last episode and watch my whole description on that. But commercially dyed yarn then is dyed in big groups together, and those groups are called dye lots. So even though the yarn is dyed by machine, there can be slight differences in dye lots. So it is my recommendation that you try to purchase as much yarn as you need from the same dye lot. So how do you know? Does your local big box yarn store only put out from one dye lot? Probably not. Probably not. When their shelves get low, they probably just pull out the next box of yarn and shove some on the shelves. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Carefully place it on the shelves, I'm sure. So what you need to do is I've got a couple, I got a big box and a slightly smaller box yarn that both have dye lots on them. So I wanted to show you what a couple different things look like. So, excuse me. I feel like I've just progressed from my cold into allergies. It's gonna be a good spring. So when you buy a larger brand yarn color, this is upside down, and this isn't available anymore. But similar packaging and labels. So you've got, your pretty pictures and everything. And then on the other side, you've got a bunch of information. So this one has, an approximation of how many skeins you would need for a scarf, a sweater, a blanket. I don't know. They're saying 5 balls for a sweater and 1 more for a blanket, which doesn't feel right to me. Maybe a baby blanket? I don't know. Or a blanket scarf? I don't know. Anyways, you got all sorts of information. But then as you, I was going to say scroll down, I mean kind of, down here, you can see they've got the article number, don't know what that means, the color number, which they've got all their colors numbered and named. So this one is shade, but shade is also number 149. Then at the very end there, they have the lot number. So that lot number is the dye lot for this. So if I was going into my local big box store and I was going to buy the 5 skeins they say I need for a sweater, I would want to make sure that all 5 of my skeins have that number that is identical. Now, typically, what happens is the big box store will have similar dye lots. So a lot of times you only need to look at like the last 2 or 3 numbers. The other 4 or 5 will be the same. 3 or 4 will be the same. It's not that big of a number. And so sometimes they'll have like 1 or 2 of one dye lot and then a whole bunch of another dye lot, because what they've done is the shelf has gotten empty, low, and then they open the next box and they fill the shelf, right? So if I needed 5, I would be looking for hopefully all 5 of the same lot number. Now, if you need a larger number like 5 and you could only find a couple in the dye lot, I have gone to an employee and said, do you have more of this yarn? And sometimes what they've done is in reverse a little bit. They maybe had 4 balls on the shelf. The shelf wasn't almost empty. And they're just going around and filling the shelves because that's what they do. And so they stuck 4 more of the dye lot, of a different dye lot, on the shelves. And so you really just need 1 more of one of the dye lots. And so I've said, do you have more of this yarn? And when they go back into the back and pull that yarn out, they can get me the 1 more skein that I need of one or the other of the dye lots. because usually they come in like a big box for them. You know, they're not buying 5 skeins of these from Lion Brand. They're buying a whole bunch. So if you're not finding the dye lots that you need, it might be worth going to an employee and asking if there's more of that yarn. Now, this is from Twice Shared Sheep, which is not, which first of all, I am squishing this again. Can I tell you guys? It's so good. It's Twice Shared Sheep's Everyday Merino, 100% superwash merino. Anyways, so I pulled this out because it's a different kind of label, but it still has a dye lot. So you've got their information there, and then if you look down there, that's where the dye lot is. So they've got the color is pine, and the lot is 710 600. So this, though, is something that you can only order online. My hope would be, and I can, well, I would certainly think Twice Shared Sheep is a company I know and trust and love. I know Dawn, the owner of it, and she is a yarn crafter herself. So I would assume that when you purchase from Twice Shared Sheep, which you can only do online, I don't think their yarn is sold in any stores. So plumpy. I lost track. They would hopefully send you all your skeins from one dye lot. And I would hope that if you order from a big box store, that they would also send you skeins from a single dye lot. However, I'm thinking it's less likely from a giant store like a big box than it is from a smaller personally owned shop like Twice Shared Sheep. So that is what a dye lot is. That is how you find them, and that is why you want to keep. I'm gonna try to throw this. Ooh, nope, fell on the floor. I tossed it on the table, it bounced off the table, and landed on the floor. It's fine, I'll pick it up later. That's how and why of dye lots. There you go. All right, let's talk question number 2. How hard is it to learn knitting once you know how to crochet? This is a great question, and one that I think there is great debate over. So I would love it if you have some experience, you knit and you crochet. I would love for you to share your experience. Here's why I think there's controversy. Because lots of people have done it in lots of different ways, and I would say the bias tends to be that whatever way you learned you feel is the easiest. Or if you really struggled, then you say in your brain, well, obviously it would have been easier to learn it in the other way. And then you give yourself like a little like pass that if you had just done it in the opposite direction, it would have been easier. I don't think one way is easier than the other way. I learned how to knit first, and then I learned how to crochet. My 2 cents in this is that if you have learned one thing, the second thing will be easier. And here's why I think that. One of the biggest challenges of starting a new craft is it being completely foreign to you. And if you've done a yarn craft, the new yarn craft isn't going to be completely foreign to you because you have some built up knowledge and experience working with yarn. So I think you can absolutely do both. Did I already say this? I learned how to knit first. I really struggled learning how to knit. It took me a long time to figure out. I think that a huge part of that was that A, I was a reluctant learner. I'll tell you that story sometime. B, I was trying to learn from my mom, who was trying to reteach herself. So she wasn't the best teacher just because she didn't have a firm understanding herself. She was trying to figure it all out. So I don't think that was the greatest situation. Um, and so I think all of that made it more challenging. Had I been excited to learn, and had I taken a class from an actual knitting teacher, um, I think it would have been much easier for me. When I learned how to crochet, I caught on so quick. Um, and I really think it was because I had some experience doing stitching with my hands. Um, I knew how to tension yarn, even though I tension yarn in opposite hands when I knit and crochet. Don't get me started. Um, but I knew about tensioning yarn. I knew the motions a little bit. And so I really did not have a hard time picking up the basics of crochet. Um, if you are a crocheter who wants to learn how to knit, I would say um, just give it a try. What's it going to hurt? B, go ahead and start with tools that are similar to what you like to crochet with. So if you are a crocheter who really loves a wool yarn and a wooden crochet hook, get yourself some wool yarn and some wooden knitting needles to work with. You can get those very inexpensively. Clover has bamboo. That's what I worked with. Um, and give it a go. What's the harm? If you find yourself struggling, I have a couple suggestions. A, um, oh my gosh. I think one of the more challenging things to learn is casting on. There are about 8 bazillion ways you can cast on in knitting. So, as a crocheter, I recommend starting with a crocheted cast on. So, you can cast on in knitting by crocheting. And so, why wouldn't you take your skill you already have and apply it to the new thing? So, give a little searchy do for crochet cast on. It's very simple. Or go ahead and check out my tutorial on crocheting around. I'll link it. I don't remember exactly what I called it. I'm crocheting around a ring. And it's essentially the exact same thing, only you're going to do it around a straight crochet needle, a straight knitting needle, and then use that to start knitting. My other suggestion is find a teacher in person, because a lot of people who struggle by learning through videos really benefit from in-person help. So whether that's a class at your big box store, a class at your local yarn shop, a class at, some places that don't have local yarn shops will have classes at community colleges that have continuing education classes, or community centers will do classes sometimes. But having somebody else look at what you're doing and maybe making some suggestions can really be the difference between really struggling and just flying. And part of that is we don't know what we don't know. And so you can watch a video and think you're doing exactly what they're doing, but you're wrapping something a little differently, or you're inserting your needle into the stitches a little differently. And that can be the thing that's making it all fall apart. And so for somebody who knows what they're doing to watch you and say, no, not this way, could blow your mind, could be the thing that you need. So those are my suggestions. I think this is great crowdsourcing. I'd love to know, did you learn to knit or crochet first? Do you have one that you think is easier to learn than the other? If you have an opinion on that, I need you to tell me what you learned first, because that's my philosophy, that whatever you learned second was easier. You'll be able to read the stitches easier and read the yarn easier, which is another thing that's a real challenge as you're starting out. So if you know one craft, I would, if it were me, or if you were asking me as a crochet teacher, which I assume you are because you're asking me, I would say get one solid before you start the other. So if you're a knitter who wants to learn how to crochet, I would have a solid base of your knitting before you learn to crochet. If you are someone who is a crocheter who wants to learn how to knit, I'd have a solid base of your crocheting before you take on a new craft. And that's just because personally, my experience is that too much newness gets all jumbled in my head, and then I'm just making it harder on myself. So I had been knitting for several years before I learned how to crochet. Now, that was excessive. But I would say, at least feel really confident that you can see your stitches and read your fabric before you dive into the other craft. I think that'll help. So that's my 2 cents. I can't wait to hear your 2 cents. What a great question. So thank you for asking. I'm going to give another plug. Ask some questions. I'd love to know what you'd love to know. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much to everybody who watched last week's episode and sent me a little note. You guys are such a blessing. It was our 52nd episode, so our unofficial 1-year anniversary. And I did a little gift away. If you want to go back and check that out, go ahead. I'm still accepting I guess, addresses for gifting away. All the details are on the previous video. You guys are really, really the best. So thank you so much. I hope you have a marvelous week. I hope you join us for the spring shawl along. It is just really so much fun. Have an amazing rest of your week and happy crafting.